Hey guys, it's Katie, and I'm here today to do a review of The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Jenkins Reid. Now, before I tell you a little bit about what this book is about, I am here to tell you that yes, it is worth the hype that BookTube has built it up to be. Really and truly. If you guys don't know this about me, I have a bit of trouble sometimes with hyped books. For instance, I wasn't the biggest fan of Nevermore. And I wasn't the biggest fan of the Grisha trilogy or the Six of Crows duology. I just tend not to have the best of luck with hyped books these days, or they're kind of a hit or a miss. And this one was definitely a hit, and I am so in love with the story. So for those of you who don't know what this is about and have been hiding under a rock for 10 million years, basically this book follows a young girl named Monique, and she is currently working at this magazine, this big deal magazine in New York. And one day her editor or her boss gets a call from this really well-known movie star named Evelyn Hugo. And she wants to do a piece for their magazine, but she only wants Monique. So when Monique goes to Evelyn's house, she finds out that she's brought there on false pretenses and is really there to do a biography of Evelyn Hugo's life. Evelyn Hugo is a Hollywood starlet who started her career in the late 1940s, I think, if I remember correctly. And a lot of this book focuses on her relationships with her 7 husbands. And we go through each of those 7 husbands as kind of like different parts of the book. And each of them are unique and bring something very, very different to the story. And the whole time Monique is doing this, she can't help but sit there and think, why me? Why did Evelyn Hugo particularly pick me to tell the story? And so when she gets there and she finds out kind of she's been brought there under false pretenses, she doesn't know what to think. She's super confused and just super unsure of why her, because she's this lowly journalist from this magazine. But as we go through Evelyn's life, we learn that there's a lot more to her that meets the eye. And you guys might know what I'm referring to because BookTube, but in case you don't, I'm not going to spoil you. But this book explores a lot of really, really incredible things. So yeah, now I'm going to try and do a breakdown of this book. And I'm changing this up slightly. I'm going to do the plot, the writing, the characters, and then I'm going to do something a little bit different and talk about, I guess, the historical time period or the historical essence, because I feel like that deserves its own category for this kind of a book. So first, talking about the writing is actually quite captivating and really, really well done. It's told in large flashbacks. It's literally present day, and Evelyn is telling Monique her story. But we as the readers read everything in flashback. And it just details like 40 to 50 years of this whole epic tale. And going through all of these different husbands and whatnot. So I actually really liked the writing because not only did we get those giant flashbacks, but we also got like newspaper article clippings or little short articles and things that kind of really added to the overall experience of the book, because honestly, this book was an experience. It fully immerses you into the pages of this book. It is so captivating and just so incredibly well done. So moving on to the plot, honestly, that part of the book got a little bit annoying for me at times because it felt very, very repetitive after a while. You're going through 7 husbands and you're going through similar routines, so it's just kind of like this cyclical wave over and over again. It's like, okay, Evelyn gets married, has stuff happening, deals with other things in her life, gets divorced, recycle, repeat. But in some ways, it did not detract from the story because of the emotional investment you had, and because each husband was a little bit different. She had different relationships with each and every one of them. And because it details her whole life, you get to see different angles of these relationships in some ways. And so, I mean, while it was cyclical and repetitive at times, in other ways, it was just really, really masterfully written, and it didn't detract from my enjoyment too terribly much. Now talking a little bit about the historical time period that it was written in. I think this starts in like the 1940s or 50s sometime, and I really, really felt the time period that we were being thrown into, and just loved seeing the evolution of it, because what Taylor Jenkins Reid did is she smattered all these historical events into it to make it feel more real and to make it even more immersive than it was in the first place. Just really captured the time period so incredibly well. It was absolutely stunning and absolutely incredibly well written, and I just can't help but love everything about the time period and just getting to see that evolution in one giant time lapse, because it was just so well done. Let's talk about the characters. The main character, arguably, of this book is Evelyn Hugo. A lot of people say it's both Evelyn Hugo and Monique. I'm going to disagree. Evelyn Hugo is the star and is the main character of this book. We are literally following her entire life, with smatterings here and there of Monique's life back in present day, which in some ways, in some cases, mirror Evelyn Hugo's. And I really liked that parallel of kind of bringing it full circle. Just Evelyn Hugo is an incredible character. She's incredibly dislikable at times. She's very manipulative and just will not stop at anything to get what she wants and how she wants it. She is fiercely protective of those she loves, and she will stop at nothing to get what she wants and how she wants it. And it's constantly seen in many, many different ways throughout the book. And like, honestly, she is the ultimate Slytherin. Like, in every aspect of the word, she is a Slytherin, and I live, okay? I live. Then we have the character of Monique, who I know a lot of people who don't love Monique and her aspects of the story. I liked her. I didn't love her, but I liked her. I liked what she added to the story, because she added another layer to everything. We were getting all of these 5 billion layers of everything, and she just added another aspect to it. I just really liked her interactions with Evelyn and how Evelyn impacted Monique to act in certain ways and impacted Monique's life in like literally every way. Because there's a lot of stuff that Monique kind of picked up from Evelyn during her time with her and everything. So I just really liked her character from that standpoint. As a standalone character, just kind of on her own, I didn't love her. But as I said, I loved what she brought to the story. I really liked the depth and the parallels that we got to see between the two of them. And I just really kind of liked the ending and just kind of her inner turmoil kind of situation about like everything. I just really liked that dynamic and everything, but was she my favorite character? No. And then there were all of the other characters, and I'm not really going to go into much detail, but each of the husbands most of them were despicable and disgusting in several different ways. I should probably say that there are a bunch of trigger warnings for this book, like domestic abuse and abortion, assisted suicide, grief, severe illness, homophobia, biphobia. It's a list. There is a whole bunch of trigger warnings But the thing about most of them is most of the really awful topics do not get fleshed out so that they're super explicit, but they are definitely there, and so definitely beware of that going into this. And honestly, I don't know what else to say because this book has impacted me in a lot of ways. Like, just, I found myself wanting to really, really go back to it and really wanted to just immerse myself in it. And I just fall into it every single time. And then I look up at the clock and be like, where did all of the time go? Because you just love spending time with Evelyn and her husbands and all of the things that are going on around her. And you just become consumed by this book, and it's just so incredibly well done, and it's definitely one that is going to sit with me for quite some time. I don't feel like I even did this book justice by doing this review. I've seen some really, really creative reviews that people have done, like Gabby from Gabby Arno. She did this like song review for some of her favorite books from last year, and I'm going to link it because it's so good. It's so good. And she did one for Evelyn Hugo, and you guys should listen to that one in particular if you're interested to learn a little bit more. And then Vendi, she did like an open letter to Evelyn Hugo, and I just loved seeing that as well. So I mean, there have definitely been some creative reviews because I think a lot of people feel similarly to me that they can't fully express the impact of this book and the impact of the characters and the impact of just the themes in this book, because it deals with quite a few intriguing themes and things that you wouldn't necessarily think about. But it was so incredibly well done, and I am so glad I decided to read it. And despite all of the hype and everything, I was not disappointed. So that's about all I've got for you guys today. I'd love to hear your thoughts if you've read this, or if you're planning on reading it, feel free to let me know all the things down below. But other than that, you guys know the drill. I have both of my social media links down below in the description. I have a Twitter, which is @ASeaOfTomes, which is the same as my handle here. And I also have a Goodreads also down below, where you guys can come over there and follow me and see what I'm reading and track my progress and see my superficial thoughts on everything before I come and scream at you about them over here. But other than that, I'll catch you later in another video for you guys soon. Bye!